Assassin's Creed Shadows came out roughly a month ago, and I've just now gotten the opportunity to play it. Before even touching this game, I've recently gotten into the Assassin's Creed series and played through the first game, second, third, Black Flag, Unity, and Origins. So I have a bit of experience with the rest of the series. I'm not coming into this completely new to Assassin's Creed. In total, I've racked up 10 hours of gameplay now, so I'm going to give you my... Okay, first and foremost, the price is kinda steep. It's $70. Unfortunately, it seems like this is becoming standard for AAA games. I wish it wasn't. I think that $60 was already too much in most cases. I understand why games are higher prices nowadays, but I really wish they weren't. So that's a con for me. That's a big con for me. I'd recommend getting it on sale. Second off, the game needs to be installed on an SSD. Now, I'm not exactly sure the reason for this. I know a little bit about computers. I don't know enough to know why that's the case, but the game will actively give you a pop-up and a prompt to install it on the SSD instead if you install it on your hard drive first. And I can tell you from experience, it runs way worse when installed on a normal hard drive. So you're going to want to install it on your SSD if you can. It's kind of annoying because it's 100 gigabytes and that's a lot of space. Again, something happening with modern games that I wish wasn't. They're really big file size wise. Ideally, that'll become less of an issue as it's easier to store larger amounts of files, but And I'm gonna also bring this up early on because I know people are gonna bring it up. Shadows is not like other Assassin's Creed games. There's a few things that contribute to that I'll get to, but if you're new to the series and you're starting with Shadows, first off, I would recommend not doing that, but second off, know that it's not like the other Assassin's Creed games, especially older ones. For one, the movement is very superhero-y. That's something it has in common with the other games in the RPG trilogy of Assassin's Creed. The movement is quite exaggerated, it's really fast, there's like barely any fall damage, so it's very accessible. It doesn't take a ton of skill to use. It's still quite good fun. I can say that with my experience in Origins, it's more fun than the movement in Origins, in my opinion. There's a little bit more depth to it, I feel, but it's very superhero-y and over-exaggerated, unlike a lot of the older games. And I prefer it being more realistic like in the older games, but it's still not bad, it's still good. Another thing about the movement is that despite how over-exaggerated it is, everything in it is legit. This is something I've noticed with every Assassin's Creed game I've played, but all of the stuff that you see in those games is legit. Every move has a name and was motion captured. And that's another thing about this game's movement is that unlike the other games that are all just parkour, this game is more like free running. If you don't know, there's a difference between parkour and free running. Parkour is efficient movement through obstacles, and free running is creative movement. And the two kind of blend together sometimes if you want them to. And in this game, your character will a lot of times do little flips and stuff when going from one area to another. It doesn't really affect the gameplay that much. It's just kind of flashy and cool to look at, and it reminds me of the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. It's got personality to it, and it's not just completely focused on efficiency, and that doesn't make it inefficient. Your character's still a lot more mobile than all the NPCs, but it's... Back off. It's got a lot more pizzazz to it than every other Assassin's Creed's game's movement. Assassin's Creed's game, whatever, you know what I mean. Unfortunately, they kept the level system and skill trees from the RPG trilogy. Big mistake, in my opinion. Skill trees I am just personally not a fan of, but that's a me thing. I don't blame the game for having a skill tree, a lot of games do. I still think the open world was kind of pointless though. They have a level system in which as you play the game and you get points, you level up, and that doesn't sound too abnormal for games. I mean, it's a common thing. But in Assassin's Creed, the games were usually linear, and then later they made the RPG trilogy where they added that level system and made it an open world. But in this game, it feels pointless to have an open world because the level system locks you out of even trying to go to different places unless you're a high enough level. So until you've played the game enough, you can't go to certain areas of the map, which makes sense, but at that point, why not just make it a linear storyline? Why have the open world at all? All it really does is just make it so that you have to ride your horse from one area to another to unlock fast travel, which is really boring and tedious. There's some cool stuff you can find along the way, and that's nice, but most of the time it's literally just running and not doing anything. And about it being linear, this game is not linear. The story missions apparently can be done in any order. I will say, I'm honestly not invested in the story. Unlike Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 and 3, where I actually am invested in the characters and want to see what happens. This game, I'm kind of just like, meh. The main thing that I really like about this game and that I keep coming back for is the gameplay. But the story is kind of lost on me. Then again, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I've always kind of had issues with following stories at first. Usually I like to play a game and try and follow the story myself, and then I'll look into it more later, and then I'll get more invested into it. So my opinion will probably change on that later. But for me, the story is kind of shaky. I'll put in the comments if any of my opinions change in the future. I've also seen some people saying that the voice actors didn't do the best job, and I can see that, specifically with the English dubbed version. They're okay, they're passable, but you know, they're not the best, but I think it's alright, and it lets me talk about something that I like that they added with the subtitles. Because in the subtitles, you can not only see what character is talking and what they're saying, but you can also choose to add other things. Like for example, you can choose so that you can see what tone a person's saying something with, which for me is a huge deal. I think that's awesome. I know many people who have trouble figuring out tones, and I'm kind of one of those people too. Sometimes it can be hard to tell what someone's saying something like. So having that there is a big help, especially to neurodivergent folk, and I think that's really cool. But again, you know, it could be fixed by having proper voice acting. Now, like I said before, the thing I keep coming back for is the gameplay. The gameplay is really fun. I won't act like this game is difficult. I'm really bad at video games, so, you know, I struggle with it anyway, but this game is not hard. It's very accessible. But the gameplay overall is pretty good in my opinion. I enjoy it a lot, and the setting really helps with that too. I mean, you play as a ninja in feudal Japan. I don't think there's any way that they could have really fumbled this game. I mean, when you think of a hooded assassin, you think of a ninja instantly, so either way, I don't know what else to say about the gameplay other than that it's fun, it's enjoyable. The combat is simple and easy to understand. The stealth is interesting. They added a prone feature, which I think is cool. It reminds me of The Last of Us Part 2. Earlier, while watching me play it, my friend said it reminded them of Far Cry Primal. I've never played a Far Cry game, including that one, so I can't attest to that, but I'm gonna take their word for it and put it in this video anyway. If that's misinformation, it's not my fault. Something this game has that I don't remember the other Assassin's Creed games I've played having is manual saving. Now, I grew up playing Valve games. I grew up with Portal 1 and 2, Half-Life 2, I mean, Gmod, but that doesn't have saving. Look, the point is, those games spoiled me for having manual saves. You could save and load whenever you wanted to. And now whenever I play a game without manual saving, it feels like a handicap. Every time you close the game and reopen it, you lose progress. That includes if a game crashes and doesn't save first. So having manual save is a huge win in my book, even if it's just a tiny thing. I know most people probably don't care, but I care, and it's my video, so that's my opinion. That's my opinion! If you're a fan of the older Assassin's Creed games, it may not be for you, but overall, I'd say this game is definitely worth your time and a fun experience. Alright, that's it.